The 2nd Cavalry Regiment, also known as the 2nd Dragoons, is an active Stryker infantry and cavalry regiment of the United States Army. The 2nd Dragoons was a component of 7th Corps until September 2013, and remains a unit of the United States Army Europe, with its garrison at the Rose Barracks in Vilseck, Germany. It can trace its lineage back to the early part of the 19th century. In addition to its two current names, former names are 2nd Riflemen, 2nd Constabulary Regiment, 2nd Armored Cavalry, and 2nd Stryker Cavalry. Previous names and dates. The regiment has previously been known as the 2nd Regiment of Dragoons, 2nd Regiment of Riflemen, 2nd U.S. Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Cavalry Group, 2nd Constabulary Regiment, 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Stryker Cavalry Regiment, and, most recently, 2nd Cavalry Regiment. Motto and patch. Motto: Toujours prêt, always ready. Remember your regiment and follow your officers. The fleur-de-lis on the badge commemorates the regiment's service in France during World War I. The palmetto leaf symbolizes the campaign against the Seminole Indians. The eight-pointed shield represents the original badge of a dragoon, as does the color. History. In 1808, there was one regiment of light dragoons, and during the War of 1812 another regiment was raised. Units of both regiments of dragoons served in engagements at the Mississippi River, the Battle of Lundy's Lane, Fort Erie, and the Siege of Fort Meigs. These two regiments were consolidated on the 30th of March 1814 into the Regiment of Light Dragoons, but this new unit was dissolved on the 15th of June 1815. Early organization. The precursor organization was originally established by President Andrew Jackson on the 23rd of May 1836, as the 2nd Regiment of Dragoons of the U.S. Army. Two squadrons were originally raised, one at Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, and one in Florida, to combat the Seminole Indians. It saw its first combat during the Seminole Wars, then served on the Texas frontier under Colonel David Twiggs. The regiment fought in the Mexican-American War, the early frontier Indian Wars, Bleeding Kansas, and the Utah War. Under an act of Congress dated the 23rd of August 1842, the regiment was redesignated as the Regiment of Riflemen effective the 4th of March 1843. This act was repealed on the 4th of April 1844, and the regiment reverted to its previous designation. The 2nd Cavalry Regiment was stationed in Waterloo, Iowa. Civil War. At the onset of the Civil War in 1861, it was recalled to the Eastern Theater and redesignated in August of that year as the 2nd Cavalry. For much of the war, it was a key part of either the Reserve Brigade or the Regular Brigade of the Cavalry Corps of the Army of the Potomac, and served in numerous campaigns and battles. During the Battle of Gettysburg, the 2nd U.S. Cavalry served under Wesley Merritt and engaged the Confederates south of Gettysburg on the third day. Like the other early mounted units, many members of the 2nd Cavalry went on to higher ranks and command positions on both sides during the war. Indian Wars. Battle of the Wichita Village, Fetterman Massacre, Kidder Massacre, Maria's Massacre, Battle of Powder River, Battle of the Rosebud, Spanish-American War, World War I and World War II. During the Spanish-American War, the 2nd Cavalry deployed to Cuba, joining Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, fighting at El Caney, San Juan Hill, Aguadores, and Santiago. The regiment remained in Cuba on pacification duty for the next 3 years. From Cuba, the regiment deployed to the Philippines, participating in the Cavite campaign in 1899 as well as fighting the Moro in 1911 and 1912. During World War I, the regiment deployed again, this time under Black Jack Pershing in Europe, participating in several battles, including the Aisne-Marne offensive. Troops B, D, F and H became the last elements of the regiment to ever engage the enemy as mounted horse cavalry. During World War II, the regiment landed in France in July 1944, becoming part of General Patton's Third Army. During this period, the regiment became known as the Ghosts of Patton's Army, due to their ability to conduct reconnaissance, materializing seemingly at will behind German lines. The regiment made the deepest penetration of the war, arriving in Czechoslovakia before finally linking up with Soviet forces heading west. Under the leadership of Colonel Charles H. Reed, the regiment rescued the famous Lipizzaner stallions from the combat zone and brought them to safety in Germany. At the end of the war, the unit was redesignated yet again as the 2nd Constabulary Regiment, and eventually the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment in 1948. Cold War, Desert Storm, and Reorganization. During the Cold War, the regiment, Nuremberg, 1st Squadron, Bindlach, 2nd Squadron, Bamberg, 3rd Squadron, Amberg, and 4th Squadron, Fürth were responsible for guard and surveillance duty along the Iron Curtain, acting as a tripwire for a possible Warsaw Pact invasion of Western Europe. The regiment's border sector varied in its dimensions over the years but always included portions of both the East German and Czechoslovakian borders with the Federal Republic of Germany. The regiment patrolled the border by air and ground. Ground cavalry troops on the border operated out of border camps close to the frontier. Regular border tours in sizable sectors contributed to the development of independence and self-sufficiency that characterizes cavalry operations, and paid great training dividends in leader training to the cavalry squadrons of the regiment. In 1978, M Company, 3rd Squadron, 2nd ACR was selected to represent the U.S. in the 1979 Canadian Army Trophy, finishing 4th, the first time the U.S. entrant had not placed last. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe meant the regiment had to redefine its role. During this process, the regiment was alerted for deployment to Saudi Arabia in response to the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq. The regiment spearheaded the 7th Corps and run deep into Iraq during the Persian Gulf War. During its covering force mission, units of the regiment destroyed 2 brigades of the Iraqi Republican Guard's Tawi-Kalna division in the Battle of 73 Easting. The unit earned the Valorous Unit Award for its service in Operation Desert Storm. Returning from the Gulf, the regiment was relocated from Nuremberg, Germany to Fort Lewis, Washington. The regiment's ground squadrons were converted into a light cavalry unit consisting of Humvees mounted with tow launchers, Mk-19 grenade launch, .50 caliber machine guns and squad automatic weapons. The 2nd ACR Light was then sent to Fort Polk in Louisiana in 1992. For there, the regiment deployed in support of the peace enforcement operation in Haiti from 1995 to 1996. The 3rd Squadron was the first ground unit to deploy and operated under the 25th Infantry Division in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. After 6 months in Haiti, 1st Squadron arrived to replace 3rd Squadron. In October 1995, 2nd Squadron replaced 3rd Squadron and redeployed in March 1996, completing the cycle. Bosnia service. In April 1997, the regiment received orders to be prepared to deploy to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Following the first mission rehearsal exercise held at the JRTC in June, the unit moved to Germany to begin integration with the 1st Armored Division. Meanwhile, all its equipment was shipped to the intermediate staging base at Tazar, Hungary. The regiment's participation in Operation Joint Guard began when the 2nd and 3rd Squadrons moved across the Sava River into Bosnia in August 1997 to augment the 1st Infantry Division in support of Bosnia-Herzegovina's municipal elections. The regiment's air cavalry, the 4th Squadron and the Regimental Support Squadron also moved into the country. The regiment's separate units, the 502nd Military Intelligence Company, the 84th Engineer Company, Company H, 159th Aviation Regiment, and the Air Defense Battery, completed the regimental troop list. While the ground squadrons were in Bosnia, the regimental headquarters deployed to Germany to train with the 1st Armored Division headquarters in preparation for assuming command in Bosnia. During August and September, the regiment was spread across 5 countries on 2 continents, and was under the direct command and control of 3 different general officer commands. This period included another first for any army unit during a 12-month period. The regiment participated in major training exercises at all 3 of the Army's combat training centers: the National Training Center at Fort Irwin, the Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk, and the Joint Multinational Readiness Center at Hohenfels, Germany. In October, the remainder of the regiment rode into theater, assuming responsibility for the American sector of Multinational Division, which stretched from the war-torn VII in the north to the shattered city of Srebrenica in the south. The first major action of the regiment in Bosnia was the seizing of Serbian radio-television towers to control communications into the Republika Srpska. Other significant operations that the regiment conducted include the restructuring of the Republika Srpska Specialist Police, the creation of the first multi-ethnic police department in the city of Bratsko, security for the announcement of the Bratsko arbitration decision, institution of common license plates and currency in Bosnia, and the opening of the Bosnian rail system. In conducting operations in this sector, the regiment executed an estimated 12,500 patrols and 480 weapon storage site inspections, supervised the removal of over 12,000 mines, and oversaw 350 training exercises for the former warring factions. The regiment served one of the longest tours of military units there. 21st century. After returning from Bosnia, the unit remained at Fort Polk, Louisiana until deployed again to the Gulf for Operation Iraqi Freedom, remaining for a total of 16 months, earning another Presidential Unit citation. The regiment was required to fight against insurgent forces in areas ranging from Baghdad to Najaf to Al-Qa. On its return from combat operations, the regiment found itself heading back to Fort Lewis in Washington in December 2004. The regiment was redesignated the 2nd Cavalry Regiment and reorganized as a Stryker Brigade combat team in April 2005. On the 1st of June 2006 at Fort Lewis, Washington, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment and the 1st Brigade, 25th Infantry Division conducted a joint reflagging and casing of colors ceremony. The 2nd CR was reflagged as the 4th Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division. The 1st Brigade, 25th Infantry Division cased its brigade colors and was reflagged as the 2nd Stryker Cavalry Regiment. The Army restationed 2nd SCR to Rose Barracks, Vilseck, Germany, near the regiment's Cold War home of Nuremberg, as of the 15th of September 2006. With the foundation of infantry-based tactics and the mobility of the Stryker vehicle, the Stryker unit has become more of a hybrid, filling the gap between pure light infantry and the mechanized heavy infantry. On the 8th of May 2007, the Department of Defense announced that the 2nd Cavalry Regiment would deploy to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom in August 2007. The 3rd Squadron, with Troop N of 4th Squadron attached, along with Troop E, 2nd Squadron, were very successful in rooting out Al-Qaeda forces from the last stronghold in Baghdad's Haidar neighborhood in East Russia. 1st Squadron participated in the final clearance of Sadr City. The regiment served a 15-month tour in Iraq in both the Baghdad area and later Diyala province. It was at its most consolidated by June 2008 with all units but 1st Squadron, which was in Sadr City. On the 25th of November 2008, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment was officially welcomed back to Vilseck, Germany. In July 2010, they deployed to Afghanistan. Upon the return, the name was changed from 2nd Stryker Cavalry Regiment to 2nd Cavalry Regiment. Operation Enduring Freedom. On the 15th of March 2010, the Department of Defense announced that the 2nd Cavalry Regiment would deploy to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and the International Security Assistance Force in July 2010. In July 2010, 1st Squadron assumed responsibility of Tarin Kowt, Afghanistan in Uruzgan province as well as the Shah Wali Kot district, serving alongside Australia's 2nd Cavalry Regiment. The remainder of the regiment was located in the volatile Kandahar province with regimental headquarters located at Foblagman. In the summer of 2013, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment deployed to Afghanistan for a second time in southern Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and the International Security Assistance Force. The regiment redeployed to Rose Barracks in April 2014. The regiment was awarded the Meritorious Unit Citation for their efforts in Kandahar Province, Afghanistan. Current structure. The 2nd Cavalry is organized as a Stryker Brigade combat team, consisting of the following units: 2nd Stryker Cavalry Regiment, Regimental Headquarters and Headquarters Troop, Vipers. 1st Squadron, War Eagles, Headquarters Troop, Mustangs, Apache Troop, Bull Troop, Comanche Troop, Dakota Troop. 2nd Squadron, Cougars, Headquarters Troop, Headhunters, Eagle Troop, Fox Troop, Ghost Troop, Havoc Troop. 3rd Squadron, Wolfpack, Headquarters Troop, Hammer Iron Troop, Kilo Troop, Lightning Troop, Fury Troop. 4th Squadron, Sabre, Headquarters Troop, War Horse, Nemesis Troop, Outlaw Troop, Pale Horse Troop, Reaper Troop, War Wagon Troop, Regimental Engineer Squadron, Pioneers, Headquarters Troop, Lakota, Argonaut Troop, Beast Troop, Calusa Troop, Maverick Troop, Elite Troop. 5th Squadron, Artillery Hell, Headquarters Battery, Hellraisers, Archer Battery, Bulldog Battery, Cobra Battery, FSD Troop. Regimental Support Squadron, Moleskines, Headquarters Troop, Hellraisers, Supply and Transportation Troop, Pack Horse, Maintenance Troop, Blacksmiths, Medical Troop, Scalpel Medics. Medal of Honor recipients: Sergeant Conrad Schmidt, U.S. Civil War. On the 19th of September 1864 at the 3rd Battle of Winchester, awarded March 16, 1896. Private Heath Canfield, Indian Wars. On the 15th of May 1870, while serving with Company C at Little Blue, Nebraska, for displaying gallantry in action. Private Michael Himmelsbach, Indian Wars. On the 15th of May 1870, while serving with Company C at Little Blue, Nebraska, for displaying gallantry in action. Private Patrick James Leonard, Indian Wars. On the 15th of May 1870, while serving with Company C at Little Blue, Nebraska, for displaying gallantry in action. Private Thomas Hubbard, Indian Wars. On the 15th of May 1870, while serving with Company C at Little Blue, Nebraska, for displaying gallantry in action. Private George W. Thompson, Indian Wars. On the 15th of May 1870, while serving with Company C at Little Blue, Nebraska, for gallantry in action. Private Wilfred Clark, Indian Wars, on the 9th of August 1877 at Big Hole, Montana, and on the 20th of August 1877 at Camas Meadows, Idaho, while serving with Company L, for displaying conspicuous gallantry, a special skill as sharpshooter. Private William Leonard, Indian Wars, on the 7th of May 1877, while serving with Company L, for bravery in action. First Sergeant Henry Wilkins, Indian Wars, on the 7th of May 1877, at Little Muddy Creek, Montana, and the 20th of August 1877 at Camas Meadows, Idaho, for gallantry in action. Private Samuel D. Phillips, Indian Wars, on the 7th of May 1877, while serving with Company H at Little Muddy Creek, Montana, for gallantry in action. Corporal Harry Garland, Indian Wars, on the 7th of May 1877 at Little Muddy Creek, Montana, and on the 29th of August 1877 at Camas Meadows, Idaho, while serving with Company L, for gallantry in action with hostile Sioux, at Little Muddy Creek, Mont. Having been wounded in the hips so as to be unable to stand, at Camas Meadows, Idaho, he still continued to direct the men under his charge until the enemy withdrew. William H. Jones, Indian Wars, while serving with Company L, on the 7th of May 1877 at Little Muddy Creek, Montana, for gallantry in the attack against hostile Sioux Indians, and on the 20th of August 1877 at Camas Meadows for the engagement with Nez Perces Indians, in which he sustained a painful knee wound. 2nd Lieutenant Edward J. Mclennan, Indian Wars, on the 20th of September 1877, for gallantly attacking a band of hostiles and conducting the combat with excellent skill and boldness. Sergeant T. B. Glover, Indian Wars, on the 10th of April 1879 at Mixper Creek, Montana, and at Pumpkin Creek, Montana on the 10th of February 1880, while serving with Troop B. He was in charge of small scouting parties, fought as charged, surrounded, and captured war parties of Sioux Indians. Captain Eli L. Huggins, Indian Wars, on the 1st of April 1880, at O'Fallon's Creek, Montana, for surprising the Indians in the strong position and fighting them until dark with great boldness. 2nd Lieutenant Lloyd M. Brett, Indian Wars, on the 1st of April 1880, at O'Fallon's Creek, Montana, his fearless exposure and dashing bravery in cutting off the Indians' pony herd, thereby greatly crippling the hostiles. Notable members: Henry Tourman Allen, John Davidson, Tommy Franks, H.R. McMaster, Peter Schoonmaker, Martin Dempsey. Alliances: Australia 2nd Cavalry Regiment, Germany, German Logistic Battalion 4.